Hello and welcome to Why Medics Matter, a podcast for doctors by doctors. We are your hosts. I'm Dr. Amie Burbridge.
And I'm Dr. Simon Fraser.
So Simon, we have just had SAS Week.
Absolutely.
And this, on the back of that, we had a fantastic episode with Shweta, who is an ophthalmologist and a SAS doctor. And we talked a lot about how empowering it can be to be a SAS doctor. One of the things that we touched upon a little bit was terminology. And I still think that confuses people. What is a specialty doctor and what is a specialist doctor?
Yeah,
Any thoughts?
Let's talk this, because I think generally people who are not in the SAS community are really ignorant about this, and they really don't understand the difference and the potential. And it really matters. Yeah. So we've had specialty doctor for many years. So the old SAS contract closed. There are people on the old-fashioned associate specialist, but that went many years ago. And anybody who's gone into a permanent role on a nationalised contract will be a specialty doctor. And let's not confuse them with people on local contracts, on LED contracts. They're different. So it is a recognised. And with the contract reforms, there was a real drive to see progression. Yeah. So you could be a specialty doctor within 4 years of postgraduate experience and 2 years in a specialty. But then the problem is you're stuck. And people often refer to them really in a negative way as, the middle grade, which is, if you've got 10, 15 years experience in the specialty, you've got a huge amount of independent practice. Okay. And the idea is that there would be a natural progression from specialty to specialist. Yeah. And the challenge, I think, is the words are very similar, and we can't necessarily change that around. And it's not to be confused with being on the specialist register, which is what you get when you pass a portfolio pathway CCT. But the specialist grade was like, great, we will recognize you for being autonomous. Okay. And that's not autonomous across the entire practice. It would be in your area of expertise. And I would then be responsible for my own caseload, my own patients. I'd be recognized as a senior doctor in the team. And as part of becoming a specialist, it's important that I had opportunity to provide leadership, to provide education, research, and other things that you and I just take for granted. They're the bits around our job that give us the balance and the stuff to offset some of the very heavy DCC jobs. So, and I think we've got to, I'd love to develop a workshop for middle management and clinical leads to go around and I suppose the question is, Amie, why do you think this matters to those individuals?
Because we need to be valued and recognised for the role that we play and the time and the effort, the experience that we have, and the dedication to our jobs as well. And it really upsets me when people are quite derogatory about these terms, particularly specialty doctor or SAS doctor, or don't really understand what it means. And like you said, that lack of recognition and understanding of people have been doctors for just the same amount of time. They just haven't maybe gone down that formal training route because they didn't want to. And what I have seen happen is that individuals in these posts don't get treated fairly, or the same as doctors who are on the traditional consultant pathway. And there needs to be more equity.
Absolutely. One of my favourite questions I'm asking any team when I do a lot of training with SAS doctors and other people is, would you call your senior team meeting? And are you allowed to sit around the table? So, in our department in paediatrics, we used to have a consult meeting, and it was a consultants. But we got a number of SAS colleagues, a number of advanced clinical practitioners, and we changed the name about 5 years ago. And we still slip into, the consultants meeting is the senior team meeting. And I think it gives you the barometer of how inclusive the leadership teams are and recognizing people who turn up, who've committed a long-term career to that department. That's the barometer question for me. How do we move forward, Amie? What do you think? How do we get people to? Because one of the things that everybody says, it's the money. I know we've got it. It's the money. There's the money, and we've got to demonstrate need. That's the easy kickback to any change. What's your thoughts on that?
The response is always money. We don't have enough money, and you're absolutely right. I think ultimately it comes down to respect and trust. And I have certainly seen different places where I've either visited or where I've worked. There is a different levels of respect shown towards different grades. For example, a lot of SAS doctors can't be educational supervisors, but they may have had... where they may have had way more experience than, a new consultant. So I think there are things like that. And awareness, we need to increase an awareness of how brilliant SAS doctors are and specialty doctors are. But I also think, even as the doctor group may understand it, sometimes the managerial levels within the NHS...
I don't think the doctor group understand it at all. I think if I went onto a ward and said, tell me the difference between specialty specialist, local employed doctor, or I asked residents, they wouldn't have a clue. And often what we hear when we work with us as colleagues is one of the frustrating things they have to how they introduce themselves to patients and how they explain that or how people refer to them. And I think it goes back to what you said about feeling valued. Okay, we've talked about money. Okay. The difference between the top of the grade of the specialty and the specialist is tiny, a couple of £1,000. You're talking about £200 a month. And then you say, we've got to demonstrate needs. So I went to a trust and actually we got a really good response from the chief executive. He said, the problem is that people have taken up the need before it's been articulated. So if I'm a SAS doctor and I've worked in anaesthetics for many, many years, I'll be seen clinically as independent. I'll be on the labour ward. I'll have some remote supervision possibly, but I'll be working at a very, very senior level. So we've already taken on those roles. And now we have to prove. Now, what you don't want to do is say, well, I take my bat and ball away. Right, well, I'm not autonomous. I'm not recognised towards being a specialist. So I can only work for a supervisor in the ward. One, it would devalue them. So when people give us the argument that we've got to demonstrate the need, it frustrates me. And I think what we have to do is we have to reverse engineer the need and say, right, whilst with me in service, this is what I'm providing. This is a level of independence. If I'm not recognised under autonomous practice and protected by that, I will need this level of closer supervision and this level of time and adjustment, and this will impact on the patient care. So that 2,000 investment to keep me motivated to give all the extra discretionary effort, is an investment. And I think we easily fall into the narrative of probably a little bit learned helplessness, like I can't make the case, it's about the money. There is a really strong financial case for this. And we need to sort of educate people, also give people the language to do that. Sorry, I'm a hobby horse about this because I see the frustration of what was supposed to be brilliant and limp in, really. And I know it's one of the commonest frustrations. But I think consultants are ignorant to this. Would you agree?
Certainly some consultants, absolutely. Yeah. Probably depends on the hospital, the department, the specialty as well. I think some specialties and some areas within the NHS probably embrace SAS doctors more than others. Absolutely. And I think there may be some areas still within medicine that don't. It's all about education, isn't it? And raising awareness of what SAS doctors do. And
so I'm going to put a challenge out there to anybody who's listening who as a clinical lead or a management who really doesn't understand SAS in their organization and how to motivate and get the best out of this workforce. Contact us and we'll run a workshop for you. We'll educate you on all the differences, all the potential to show you the financial benefit you can get from investing in this group. Thank you, Amie.
Thank you very much, Simon. As always, a very informative discussion. Thank you to everybody for listening. Please rate, review and subscribe to the Why Medics Matter podcast. Thanks for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.